Well, hello there, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. My name is DB333, and welcome back to Hearts of Iron 4, the New Order Last Days of Europe, as Komi. More appropriately, the centrist Komi. Now, in the last video, we passed a bunch of bills, and we're preparing on working on keeping the government in check. So our eyes are going straight ahead, as best as we can keep them ahead. But that's all to come. There's also been some interesting movements in the left and the right. The left has a new figure that might help them out, but they're also possibly allowed to lose another figure. They're gaining a Bukarina, but losing a Sarov. So we'll see how far, how well that ends up working out. And I think we'll get some support equipment building. I think that's a good idea. We need some tungsten, but we can't really trade for that right now. Can I check the resource map mode? Let's see. Ivan Sarov nervously rubbed the back of his neck, hands nearly coated with a thin sheen of sweat as he stared up and down the towering silhouette of Mikhail Suslov. On the Shadow Master's desk lay a manifesto. Sarov's manifesto. He swallowed hard, trying in vain to stand fearless against what had to be coming. Comrade Sarov. Suslov's voice cut through the silence like a knife, even though he spoke barely above a whisper. This theory of yours. Sarov saw an opportunity. Perhaps if he spoke fast enough, he could explain the revelations he had come to. You. Suslov spoke sharply, losing all pretense of neutrality. Again, Sarov felt a dagger in his stomach. These musings are yours, Comrade Sarov. They suggest you are dreadfully misinformed about several things. You have been called here not for punishment, not yet, but so that we may correct this error. If it was anything else before him, Sarov would sharply challenge the notion that he wasn't being censored. But as he gazed into the cold steel of Suslov's eyes, words seemed to fail. For what seemed like hours, Suslov tore apart Sarov's beloved manifesto, and in the end calmly banned him from spreading it under threat of party expulsion. Another weaker man would take this lying down, but Sarov was not a weak man. He didn't sleep that night or the next like a weak man would. Instead, he wrote, feverishly, almost maniacally. In the end, it would be worth it. Suslov would see soon just how wrong he was. I'll show him all. So let's go working on, I think, support weapons. That'll be a really good one to get, I'm thinking. No divisions basic training. Okay, that's... We'll get some of these guys training. They're not the best. Let's see, we don't have room for anti-tank. Actually, let's scrap these guys. We'll train one at a time. That's really all we can even manage to do. Fuck, we need anti-tank. God damn it. Where are anti-tank in these? Am I just blind? Whatever. If we get another factory, we'll get some anti-tank going. Mission equipment production, we can't do much about that. Other than just kind of bide our time. I mean, we could maybe buy some manpats. Okay, so we got the government in check. I believe, yeah, we're gonna have a event pop up real quick. The train was always late, which meant Sergei was always late. Him and every other poor sap stuck waiting around as the inevitable passage of time slowly brought them closer and closer to death. An older man wearing a brown suit sat next to Sergei, and it was none other than Alexei Kosygin himself. Kosygin was Sergei's deputy in the National Assembly, and he was surprised to see a politician taking the tram. Even more surprising to Sergei was when Kosygin turned to talk to him. "Hello, the name's Alexei Kosygin. Do you know when the tram will be here?" Sergei chuckled briefly at the question. "Sometime between late and never, deputy. I thought you politicians had cars or something, no?" Flat tire. At least I get to meet my constituents this way. About that, I feel that this president's getting too buddy-buddy with that Zdanov fella. Is the coalition going to address that? Yeah, that is a problem. A growing number of people are beginning to notice. I would love to bring it up, but the coalition needs unity in these times, not division. It becomes too much of a problem to tolerate. I'll make sure he hears it. Thanks. Good to know that you're doing something about it, said Sergei. Just then, a man came running up to the tram stop, shouting about how some paramilitaries had busted the tram, and that they all now had to walk. We really need to talk about the trams in the city. Alright. The Democratic Coalition's leaders have arranged a very important meeting, or at least what was supposed to be a very important meeting. The reason for this meeting was that the unstable situation in the Republic. Extremists, radicals, and political violence ran rampant. While the death toll was relatively low from all of this infighting, the Democratic Coalition feels that things may escalate, leading to coups and the possible collapse of the Republic. Unfortunately, it appears nobody can decide upon a plan of attack in regards to these fears. A number of representatives believe that the coalition should focus on the left in their dangerous revolutionary rhetoric. Others disagreed, citing the increased violence from the right as the largest concern. A third camp within the coalition believes that all of this is unnecessary, and that we should simply focus on campaigning and winning the next election. The debate eventually completely derailed into ad hominems and shouting matches. It was made clear to the leaders of the coalition that no progress was being made. By the end of the meeting, everyone was equally unhappy, as it was decided that the coalition would simply agree to disagree. The meeting was adjourned, the ad hominems ceased, and the politicians reluctantly returned to their homes. The center must hold no matter what. So we have our eyes straight ahead. While it might seem tempting to classify one side or other as the greater evil, our belief is that both sides are a dangerous force to democracy. That dealing with one side will only strengthen the other. The true solution is not to attack others, but to defend ourselves. Democracy can and will work. All that is needed is a will of our government to fix the problems that are afflicted on us, and the will of the people to resist these radical aggressions. Stimulating both of these things will help us tremendously in our survival and allow the Republic to continue existing for the people. Well, there we go. We gotta distance ourselves from Zdanov. A source of uneasiness among our government is regarding our leader, Comrade Voznetsensky, and rumors surrounding his connections. Allegedly, Voznetsensky has ties with the far-left Andrei Zdanov, even a friendship on the personal level. Even though we believe these rumors are a Suslevite plot to divide us, they are still deeply concerning. And of course, rumors come from somewhere. Just in case, it's best to implore Comrade Voznetsensky to cut any ties with Zdanov and to distance ourselves from any of his parties and actions in general. There we go. We're finally doing something about it. I like it. So how are you guys doing? I guess I'm not particularly talking to anyone about this. Just checking in on you all. Comment section, people. All you lovely folk. Well, they do have... Can we not do it? Wait, we neighbor the Order of St. George. I don't know what's going on there. We'll scavenge for loot now, I guess. I'm assuming we're going to get a few more events soon enough. Talking about what we can... how we can increase the center, right, left. Uh-oh. The world awaits with bated breath. That's not nice right there. Is there anything else we want to do real quick? Oh, we still have time. to work with Zhdanov. There's not really much. We got the, that one thing we can get from him that helps out poverty, which is actually pretty nice, so I'm glad we did that. It's going slowly, but it'll eventually get there, I hope. Koltsov was returning from work when he noticed a small group of children, no more than 15 or 16 members, making little noises with their mouths and making hand pistols and replicating the kickback that came with such pieces of weaponry. In the middle of a fake battle, he could hear a little boy yelling, "I am Derilavenga, and I am going to kill you all! Die, Derilavenga, die!" screamed in response, hardly laughing as he charged with finger guns banging off wildly. The scene sent a shiver down Kolstov's spine as he heard the German fiend's man, the butcher and rapist of innocence. He remembered when he was younger and the stories of Derilavenga used to terrify him. Now these children were playing like him, like he was some sort of villain and not a monster. Koltsov thought about how his son would react to such games. Would he know that Derilavenga of stereotypical evil? What am I talking about? When he stole young girls so that a brave man could save her? Or would he know the monster who raped girls and killed children in the crib when they cried for their mothers? Regardless, he would make sure that the assembly knew about the impact of the violence in the Republic was having on the young of the nation. Surely a letter will solve this issue, right? Distance from Zhdanov. Let's reinforce the center. Remember, comrades, that the Republic's hopes do not lie in the evils of the radicals. Such falsities are there to lure those of us who may not be confident in our governing, to snare them and to brainwash our citizens, to serve the aims of the radicals. The solution to these is to hold out. No more citizens shall be lost to Suslov or Gumalov. Stalina's speech to the legislators outlined our plan to combat the radicals. The center must hold, and to do so we must muster every effort we can to preserve it and stop others from falling into the hands of the far left or far right. There we go, appealing to the Komi. Ooh! General Ivan Korolkov slowly paced down the Sisloka docks, Defense Minister Ligachev and 6 Republican guards in tow. The waters of the river, which nourished Syktyvkar and Kotlas, and formed the Republic's border with the front, were calm, clear, and placid in the fall air. The object of Korolkov's attention, however, was no placid vessel. It was a gunboat, the first that the docks of Syktyvkar had purpose-built. Mounted machine guns ringed her hull, and a single 85mm cannon graced her front deck, taking up the majority of the available space. To the assembled military men, she was beautiful, a beautiful solution to the ugly problem of piracy and smuggling. "Give my dock workers my congratulations," began Korolkov, surveying the radio antenna on his stout commander. Ligachev nodded. "They've been paid double for laying her down. We'll be getting you another 4, providing funding holds up, 2 more for the Sislova and 2 for the Yatka." The newly promoted commanding officer of the Komi Republican Navy stared intensely into the water. Yes, this will do nicely. All's lobbying and harassing the defense minister had finally managed to procure a solution. It was damn well going to show what river supremacy could do for the Republic. It's an honor, Minister. There we go. We got some naval experience, because that's what we really need right now. Navy experience. Vosnetsensky shifted his gaze around. It was another meeting of the party, and was a centrist politician's turn to speak. As he spoke, he became interested, and as the wheels in his head turned and turned, became perturbed. Although the politician's words were not important, his affiliation was. His mind raced, and his eyes began to take on a knowing glow. One name appeared in his conscience again and again: Zhdanov. It was a secret, for now, confined only to a few of the people, only a group of a few people. But if it ever got out, Vosnetsky shuddered. Just imagining Kosygin's reaction was enough. Then again, Zhdanov was an immeasurably precious asset to him, and if he needed his help, he would get dead air in response. The politician finished his words, but he was not focused on the next generic speaker. He had to choose. Speaking to him was a mistake in the first place. So I believe the more favors you have, the worse it is, or the harder it is to separate without consequence. I think that's how it works. So we can do some industry stuff. Yeah, I'll do that. Civilian construction 2. That sounds... As Voznensky penned, sincerely Nikolai Voznensky to his paper, he let out a sigh of relief. The weight of his burden would forever be lifted, and he could rest. No more connections, no more ties, no more association. Voznensky would be free. Calling a trusted courier to his office, he ordered the young man to send the letter straight away. His purpose would be official state business, and the contents classified. He placed faith in the deliverer to complete his task timely. Voznensky did not know how long these ties could last before being thrust in an intrusive display to the unaware public. The young courier nodded his head at the command and was dismissed straight away. His duties were evident to both men, and it was best for him to start accomplishing it. As he left, Voznensky smiled. Relaxed now, he sat back in his chair and muttered, "Severance last." And there goes our little affair with Zhdanov. Friends of the party and of the Republic, I'm aware that you all know of the allegations regarding my ties to Zhdanov. I must say, with complete truth, that these ties have existed, and shocked exclamations and murmurs filled the chambers as the depths of the situation sunk into the politicians' attendants. For a solid minute, anarchy ruled over the chambers. Arguments began over his true loyalty, only ended when the head of the session declared order be held in the assembly. These ties have existed, yes, but these ties are now cut, and they will remain cut for good. My loyalty is not to Zhdanov, but to this republic we preside over. I implore you all to consider this. Thank you. The politicians look over him, all eyes boring down upon Voznensky. The fate of his leadership relies on them, and now they must vote on it. The party will decide your fate. Ooh. Nikolai Alexeyevich Voznensky, the voting will now begin. Take your seat. Anticipation rocked the air as the first hands went up to mark him innocent. After taking the census, the hands now went up to mark him in contempt. Somewhere in Voznensky's eyes, a glitter showed up. Nikolai Voznensky, the votes have been counted. By a margin of 122 to 78, you have been found absolved of any crimes revealed by these documents presented before us. Voznensky couldn't help but crack a smile. Closer margin than he would have liked? Sure. Yet, despite the turmoil, he was free. Lenient, perhaps. Well, that decreases his influence, populative social democracy, and the influence of the center. But I believe that means... Yep, Kosygin is now the most influential figure of the center. And that is very interesting. Alright. So we can campaign for some more people if we wanted. We can raise some confidence in democracy. That might be the best move, honestly. Let's raise some confidence in democracy. Ooh. The letter had arrived. Oh, god damn it. I just took note of this. I'm taking a big PP hit. The letter had arrived in the early hours of the morning, a time which Suslov would have much preferred to spend asleep with his wife. Thus, when the courier had nervously knocked on his door and quickly handed him the paper, Suslov had steeled himself to read the contents, and yet nothing could have prepared him for the horrors within. Serov had gone quite mad. That was the only explanation Suslov could believe. No traces of blank white paper remained on the letter he held, only the erratic ravings of a man scorned. If the manifesto of order socialism flirted with revisionism, this new monstrosity was practically wed to reaction. He read with horror at first as Serov detailed the valuable lessons to be learned from the thus superior ideology of the German, and how the Communist Party would do well to adapt the tactics of victory, which, as far as Serov seemed concerned, referred mostly to the extermination of hereditary reactionaries, state-sponsored corporations, and a promotion of German racial theory. Suslov nearly slammed the paper onto his desk, hand quivering, not with horror, but now with rage, as visions of German tanks and camps flashed through his mind. A snarl snarked his lips as he pushed himself to his feet. Serov had gone too far. So not the question of an uneducated socialist, but the deranged lunacy of a fascist. Suslov barely noticed his surroundings as he stormed through his office and punched a number into his telephone. A cancer has infested his party, he now knew, and he would see it excised at any cost. The dragon reveals itself. Damn it, I was hoping that one. Well, we got... Yep, America's winning Guyana. Big shock. Do we have a non-aggressive... I don't know what the deal is then. Reinforcement center, the face of the movement. Svetlana Stalina, acid order fighter. Stalina has in recent times become ever more important to the maintaining the flame of the Republic, has quickly risen in publicity and fame to the citizens of Komi. An avid anti-revolutionary, her speeches and actions directly confront the threat of the enemy's instinctive car and beyond, driving many to our democratic ideology. Now we will need her more than ever to stamp the radicals out. There we go. All in favor? Stalina asked. All the leaders in the room raised their hands, except for President Vesnetsky himself. From when it was suggested in the meeting, he was hesitant about the native Komi cultural program, not because it would waste crucial time and effort, but due to his personal beliefs regarding the natives in the lands he governed. Once again, his allies desperately tried to convince him. In the end, he reluctantly accepted, if only to help the image of him and the coalition in general. In the next days, the government spread the news, a program to showcase Komi culture, preserve their traditions, and support them in solving their communal problems, will be initiated by the governing coalition. Of course, behind the scenes, most politicians have realized that this is merely a ploy to gather the support of the native voters. Despite that, its actual success remains to be seen. It's time the government approaches the natives. Uh-oh. Vesnetsky's troubled history. Sergei approached Kosygin, who was hastily leaving the government building, as if he had somewhere he had to urgently go to. As always, he was in formal clothing, even in a normal day in office. Initially, Sergei went unnoticed, but Kosygin eventually realized he was running behind him. The bureaucrat was looking worried when he began speaking to the leader of the liberal movement. Sir, have you thought about this Komi program through? Specifically, I'm quite worried about including Vesnetsky in this. You must have heard of what he's said in the past. He is not known for his kindness and respect to minorities. Hell, he's practically even called them traitors. Kosygin seemed to be not particularly worried about this, almost as if he didn't care. If you let him organize this, our public image could take a hit. Imagine when our political opponents hear that the enemy of a native Komi has decided to respect their culture. It would be a scandal! Kosygin barely raised an eyebrow and calmly replied, Don't worry. Everything is under control. You're overreacting. That's all. Before Sergei could reply, Kosygin had already left the building. We need to be careful with this program. Yeah. Kosygin sat quietly in his office, looking at the view from the window and going over documents regarding the upcoming events in the capital. Nothing was scheduled for the next few hours, so it was just him and the work he had to do. But as much as he tried to focus on it, the topic kept coming to his mind. Vesnetsky and his racist tendencies. On one hand, cooperating with Social Democrats would be useful in general. He could appease the president, continue to exert power from his faction while keeping good terms. On the other hand, his knowledge of the president's beliefs was worrying. The public relations of a center coalition, and his own party by extension, could hang on the balance if a scandal appeared. Would he risk such a thing for power? Okay, what do we do? This is a tough one, so I think we might have to flip for it. Do we want to? Let's think it out. Best case scenario. Okay. We're already pretty much in power. So I'm not too worried. I think we try to keep him out of organizing the program. Effective immediately as a result of his repeated infractions against Marxist theory, spreading of unauthorized theory, and fascist sympathies, Ivan Alexandrovich Serov is hereby banned from the Communist Party of Komi, including the right to attend meetings, speeches, party housing, and the employment in a party-sponsored workplace. Suslov watched impassively as Zhdanov signed his name at the bottom of a letter, glancing to the bodyguards and party officials in attendance. Zhdanov, to his credit, had nearly immediately arrived at the headquarters and agreed to sign a letter of expulsion, something Suslov took precious satisfaction with. Though he could feel the growing distance between his old mentor and himself every day, at least they stood united against reaction tonight. Zhdanov placed the pen on the table and gestured toward Suslov as he approached. Taking his pen in his hand, Suslov ever so quietly, as he signed his own name, just below Zhdanov's. "Leave us," he commanded, and the officials and bodyguards followed unquestionably, leaving him and Zhdanov alone. "He will retaliate," Mikhail Zhdanov spoke after a moment of silence. "I know. You have a list of those sympathetic to him?" "Yes. They'll receive similar letters, of course." "A Nazi in our own party. It should have been seen earlier. This needs to be kept quiet, Andrei." Without waiting for the other man to respond, Suslov was gone, gliding through the streets of the party's neighborhood like a ghost. Gimlev will love this. Well, there goes a bit of our right influence. Reports from our government officials and associates talk regarding the program to gain the support of a native voter base. While mostly positive, shown has not been a clear success. As for the program itself, it was pulled almost perfectly, going without hitch. Many Komi welcomed the opportunity to receive help by the government and seemed supportive of a new policy. In general, some seem convinced by this, but despite the small boost in popularity of Social Democrats in coalition, it would be a lie to say that we are fully satisfied with the results. The numbers we were hoping for were not achieved. Small hurdles in our way reduced the effectiveness, with many natives either not convinced due to the president's past or simply indifferent to the new policy. It seems that this was not the help we were looking for to gain support in our struggle against the left and right. Shit, we need to look elsewhere. At least won the war. Very nice. Good for them. So we'll have a 56-day focus coming up here shortly, which will be interesting. Alright, we have to have access to our capital to raid. That's right. Yeah, I don't think we have enough equipment to train, so we maybe want to go for one of these guys. Maybe, I don't know. We're losing some manpower. It's not mobilizing anymore. Which is not nice by any means, but I mean, I don't know what else we can do. We can raid Vyatka. That might be worth a shot. See if we can't do that. So we'll prep a raid there. Can we promote any of these guys? We can give Grigorenko a little upgrade. Infantry expert is going to be a good one. We'll do that. And then probably offensive doctrine. And then that's max we can do. Next up, we'll let them burn themselves out. The enemy of my enemy is my friend, is how the saying supposedly goes. Of course, they are not actually our friends, so to speak, but they are certainly useful tools in cementing our republic. The left and the right wing hate democracy. This is true, but to them, there's something even worse than that. That they declare them their mortal enemies to combat at all times. Each other. Even now, their paramilitaries battle in the streets, looking to obtain ideological supremacy without Syktyvkar and the Republic. Of course, once the winning side of these battles are depleted, they won't even bother to put up a fight against us. There we go. State of Turkestan declares war on the Republic of Kyrgyzstan. What can we do here? Anything? Train our troops. Kind of tempting. External investments. That's not going to help too much. Okay, so what do we got? Glorious people of the Komi Republic, the time for movement is now. In this world, and even in this republic, the boot of so-called revolutionary action haunts the people with their lies. They are in our homes, our streets, and they are ready to take action. We must move first, for the republic must not falter. Concluding her speech, silence fills the room, but for a brief moment, before thunderous applause reaches her ears. It seems her message has gone through. Svetlana Stalina, a devoted new politician, has quietly climbed the Byzantine ladder of influence in the Komi Republic. In her message of anti-revolutionary zeal and revenge against the German menace that plagues the fields of Russia has resonated with at least a sizable portion of the masses. Now she's become a major political asset in the ever-so-complicated field of Komi, and even her opponents have come to concede it. I don't know, guys. I'm sensing... I sense a darkness in her. Do we want to worry about that, though? No, for now, no. That was a magnificent showing. We can, let's start that raid. Oh shit, it's there, okay. My fellow deputies, the enemies of our republic lie around us. They look in the darkness, awaiting their opportunity to strike at the foundation and collapse the structure that has held this nation together. We cannot wait. We cannot wait for them to enact this evil plan. We must make the first move and battle them through any means necessary. Although the sound of applause filled the chambers of almost immediately from Stalina's portion, hushed whispers and glances towards the rest of the group. The measures Svetlana put forward are extensive and involve different varieties of actions against the enemies of Komi, such as further powers of the ruling party, of the legislative chamber, the ability to carry out arrests without warrant and enemies, and some rumor that outside of legal powers, Svetlana will further fund her allied paramilitaries in order to help control the nation. Whether that's true or not, however, does not matter. Svetlana's already made her move. Could it be necessary? So far, we're winning. I'm waiting to see if... Okay, yeah, now they have actual troops showing up. This might have been a bit of a mistake. We'll wait and see. A malaise hangs in the air for the leftist bloc since Stalina's proclamation of destruction of her enemies of Komi. Activities have become different than usual. Impromptu emergency meetings between legislative and paramilitary members, the politicians move unlike anyone has seen them before, with haste and alarm. The meetings, too, show a great change in mood. The whispers grow in number. The applause grows less certain. The glances become more and more worried. The leftist paramilitaries, too, show bizarre behavior. The movements are further mixed up The graffiti on the walls becomes less and less prevalent, the members themselves encrypting their communications however they can. The presence of trouble is in the atmosphere, and the reasoning is not difficult. The cracks show. Alright, we're showing up. Plesetsk. Okay, I can't raid them, but they can raid me. That's not fair. Raid successful. So here's what we're gonna do. Fun new agricultural methods. Plesetsk. That's Tukhachevsky, right? Good enough. We'll send him over. Express for left or the right. The left might be the move. Maybe just raise confidence in democracy. Well, we won't back down so easily. Come on. Move, move, move. Our men have crushed the enemy. Da-da-da. We're doing good. Our troops are showing up. So, who have they gone for, really? Ration calculations. We can't really tell, it seems. Throughout the week, one event has dominated the cultural life of Syktyvkar and the capital as a whole, and that is the Syktyvkar Cultural Festival. Organized by the groups aimed at the preservation of Komi culture and tradition, some endorsed by the government, it has been a massive success. The festival is located in one of the capital's major parks, in one of the safest neighborhoods, which has helped it avoid any paramilitary clashes. Many Komi took this opportunity to help in the festival by participating in the exhibitions of anything from traditional clothes to customs and music. The neighborhood has been flooded with the colorful patterns of natives, and some artists have even helped create a fusion of these traditional designs with modern ideas for artistic masterpieces. The Museum of Komi Culture also cooperated and has welcomed many visitors this week. In general, the festival seems to have been a massive success for the organizers. Many Russian citizens of Syktyvkar were actually ignorant of Komi lifestyle and culture, and found this as a fascinating opportunity to educate themselves on it. Now all the city is more informed on what this civilization truly is. We have finally embraced multiculturalism. Now that's what I'm talking about. So I say we do some industrial investments. That'll be huge. Now we can scavenge for some loot. And I think we strengthen the center even more. There we go. Enemy is defeated. More PP. We're doing great political power-wise. God damn. I'm happy with this. Let them burn themselves out. Then finally, it's time for the interlude. It seems, if only for a temporary period of time, that things have finally calmed down again. The plotters have retreated out of public eye, most likely so that they continue plotting in the dark. The streets have become tranquil and the legislative sessions are less and less chaotic. There is, however, a reason for this calm. Soon democracy will once again be tested in the elections throughout the Republic of Komi. Each and every faction that wishes to see their leader in power now must plan and consolidate, calculating public support and paramilitary control of the areas. The time of movement has ended. The time of strategizing has begun. Ooh. Okay. The irregular sound of pistol shots and yelling helped set the tone for the meeting. Voznensky, Melishev, Grigorenko, and all of their associates were discussing the latest news, an uptick in street violence between left-wing and right-wing paramilitaries. Since more blood has been spilled onto the streets, the Democratic ticket has been conducting meetings between them and their paramilitaries to see what should be done about the situation. This is the perfect opportunity! Grigorenko yelled, slamming his fist on the table in a display of masochism. These idiots are fulfilling their numbers, their bloodlust against each other and draining their numbers. If we go into the streets now, then we should be able to destroy them all. Why the hell should we risk injuring our fine men? They're injuring themselves already. Vazensky replied back. They'll just start using more drastic methods, maybe even killing each other. No need to deploy anything. You two, as usual, assume that we have to do either everything to stop them or nothing to stop them. Have you ever considered simply helping moving the process along, escalating the situation, do certain actions and blame them on the opposing ideology, strike from the shadows? These are the kinds of things we need to do in order to succeed. Think about it. As the screaming and gunshots continued, the meeting wrapped up, a decision finally being reached. So we can do this, nick.44.b or nick.44.c. One should not interrupt their enemy in the process of making a mistake. We'll go with that. It's very Sun Tzu-ian. No need to panic. Huddled civilians cried and cowered in the shops. Outside were dead bodies, 2 associated with the left and 5 associated with the right. Blood stained the streets and the sidewalk, glass and weapons lying at the feet of a deceased. A new era of chaos in the streets and towns of Komi rules over the Republic now. Vazensky smirked at the news of the most recent confrontation, this time resulting in an unusually high amount of deaths. He was right after all. There was no course of action required. Now they are killing each other directly in the streets, when before they only had injured each other. The process is happening even quicker than he thought. Soon the problem will be eradicated completely as the paramilitaries wipe each other out. He sat back in his chair, enjoying the supremacy of his decisions. Nothing to worry about from here on out. The problem solved itself. So we lose some stability, which kind of sucks, but the PP game we're getting, again, is insane. And also, we might want to do some more warlord development. Train our troops. Another 1,000 manpower might be nice. Although, we could use some manpats. We'll hope Zlatosk doesn't screw us over with that. Vazensky did not see the changing of the situation at first. It was a slow process, a slogging ordeal for both combatants that left some dead and many more injured on both sides alike, but now reports have come in from the democratic paramilitaries and the citizens of Komi. More and more the injured and killed come from the right-wing militaries. They appear more scared as they go to fight. Less of Gumilov's men show up to confront the leftist forces, and Gumilov himself has been rumored to be in a state of disarray, following a decisive defeat in Vilagodsk, in which his forces have been completely driven out of the city. While fights are still ongoing in Syktyvkar, and the left-wing paramilitaries still suffer many casualties, it's now clear that the balance is tilting towards Suslov and his armies in the streets, which may prove to be a challenge in the future, but for now, Vazensky pays it no mind. The right will come back from this minor setback, surely. Concerning Uh-oh. He was blindsided by the news. He couldn't believe any of it. How were they able to do that? How? The leftist radicals had declared victory in the streets, following a particularly gruesome battle near the legislative building in Syktyvkar between Suslov's elite paramilitaries and cobbled together volunteers of Gumilov's forces, in which the winner was obvious. The rightist paramilitaries have shown up less and less. Gumilov, for now, has been defeated in the paramilitary struggle, and although his forces fight on, none are sure he may ever be able to regain the strength he once had again. Vazensky, upon hearing this, was about to burst into one of his characteristic tirades when another piece of news hit. Voters were now being intimidated by these paramilitaries. Electoral districts have shifted control from more democratic leanings to fully leftist leanings. Some communists have even had the audacity to graffiti red stars onto the polling booths, letting all who vote know who is nearby. Shifting, wanting to speak, wanting to explode onto the news bringer violently, he found that he couldn't. Wearily sighing, he simply waved the curry out of the room. How could it have gotten so far? Oh dear, okay. How bad is it? That's not too bad, actually. It's notable. It really is. But we can suppress them. We can always do some suppression. Some good old voter suppression. We got a new Sultan of Sionan. Interesting. Bulgaria sides with Italy. Interesting. We'll see what the Italian Empire does with this game. We'll just have to wait. Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. We have the Interlude. We can't cancel it anymore. Oh, we can cancel it, actually. Now, there are a few focuses. Especially, I was playing around with America a bit for my test game. Friend is not a dream. Good luck with that, Wales. Because I know how that goes. Could train troops. Not yet, actually. Well, Sport Weapons 2. We'll get a new bit of tech real quick. Probably better infantry weapon improvements. And from here, I think we're going to have to cut it here, ladies and gentlemen. So thank you for watching, as always. If you like this video, go ahead and leave a like. If not, feel free to dislike. If you want to see more of this content in the future, go ahead and hit that subscribe button for more uploads every weekday, as well as every Saturday. If you have any comments, feedback, concerns, anything of the sort, go ahead and leave the comment section below. I read all the comments I get, and I appreciate any all feedback you kind of have for me. If you want to send a few bucks my way, I have a Patreon down link below. If you want to chat or play games, I have a Discord. If you want to just have a good old time in general, watch me do sort of stuff live, check out my Twitch. So yeah, that's it for now, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you as always for watching. My name has been DB333. Oh, god damn it. And I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.